collected the key and that she had yet to return it. The security guard proceeded to the church with the hope that he would meet Vera inside. Little did he know that the horrific scene awaiting him at the church was one that would send cold shivers down his spine. On arriving at the church, the security guard noticed that the door was open, which was something he had expected since Vera had already collected the key before him. However, what he never expected to see was the trail of bloodstains on the floor and a seriously injured Vera lying unconscious on the floor of the church. There was a fire extinguisher beside her, which made it obvious that she had been attacked with it. Vera's books were also seen scattered all over the floor, and her recommended glasses were found by the door. The security man quickly ran back to share the horrific discovery with the keykeeper and his wife, who then joined him in rushing to the church. When they met the then unconscious Vera, they thought she was dead. However, after careful observation, they noticed that she had moved her hand. That was when they quickly rushed her to the hospital for emergency medical intervention. Vera was taken to a private hospital that night so that she could at least be revived. However, the next morning, she was transferred to the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, UBTH. At UBTH, Vera was asked to be taken for an X-ray of the head. Sadly, the parents didn't have much on them, but the church members came through by raising funds for Vera to be taken for the X-ray. Vera later regained consciousness, but she couldn't say or do anything other than the tears that were regularly rolling down her eyes. Further medical investigation showed that Vera was not only attacked, but she had also been abused sexually. Vera had suffered a traumatic brain injury due to the attack. The damage inflicted on her was so severe that after 3 days in the hospital, she tragically passed away. The news of Vera's brutal attack and tragic death spread like wildfire, causing outrage across the country and even drawing international attention. Protests erupted as people demanded justice, and the case quickly became a symbol of the fight against gender-based violence in Nigeria. However, when Vera's family initially reported the case to the Edo State Police Command, they didn't do anything about it. According to the sister, the officers refused to take action, stating that without financial mobilization, they wouldn't leave the police station. It wasn't until the family shared graphic images of Vera's injuries on social media, images that shocked and enraged the public, that the police were finally pressured into taking the case seriously. They visited the crime scene to conduct a preliminary investigation. The police discovered that Vera's mobile phone was missing from the crime scene, which meant that her attacker had gone with it. The stolen phone would become a crucial lead in uncovering the perpetrators of the heinous crime. Vera Uwaila was a 22-year-old microbiology student at the University of Benin. She had just gotten admission into the university and was finally beginning to live her academic dreams, though not in the way she had initially hoped for. For 4 long years, Vera had struggled to secure admission. Her dream was to study nursing and become a nurse, but after repeated setbacks, she was eventually offered microbiology. At first, she was reluctant to accept the course, but with the encouragement from her family, she decided to move forward with it. Vera was a dedicated student, deeply committed to her studies. For over 2 years, she had made it a habit to study at the Redeemed Christian Church of God in her area. This church was also the church she attended on Sundays. Every morning, usually around 10 to 11 a.m., she would leave home and head to the church to read. It had become part of her daily routine, such that if she didn't leave for the church by noon, she would stay home for the rest of the day. She often returned home around 5 or 6 p.m., or whenever she was satisfied with her study sessions. She was a quiet and reserved person, someone who mostly kept to herself. However, in the months leading up to her death, her mother had encouraged her to open up more and interact with people. Slowly, Vera started to change. She became more social and also more engaged in conversations. She shared a close bond with her sister with whom she slept on the same bed. Every night, they would talk before drifting up to sleep, sharing thoughts, dreams, and the little details of their day. But no one knew that those conversations would soon be cut short forever. 3 months after Vera's death, the Edo State Police Command made a breakthrough in the case. 6 suspects were arrested in connection with the crime, with the police revealing that a special squad from Abuja had been deployed to aid the investigation. These suspects were identified as 24-year-old Collins Olibe, 27-year-old Nelson Obebo, 45-year-old Tina Samuel, 45-years-old Mary Ade, Valentine Akato, and 31-years-old Noza Osabuhin. Collins was considered the prime suspect in the crime, while Mary Ade was alleged to be the mastermind behind the gruesome attack. According to Collins, Mary was the one who sponsored the brutal attack on Vera. He claimed she sponsored it because she was angry that people in the church loved and adored Vera more than her own daughter. Collins initially told the police that Mary paid them the sum of 1 million naira for the job. However, he later changed his story to something that portrayed an entirely different motive. Collins later alleged that Mary paid them 1.5 million naira and that she gave them a handkerchief which must be used to clean some of Vera's blood and then returned to her. He claimed that Mary wanted to use the blood for a ritual that would make her small shop grow into a big supermarket. However, Mary denied all these allegations, calling Collins a criminal who had promised to drag her into the crime by telling lies about her. Mary, who was also Collins' landlady, disclosed that Collins was trying to get back at her for opening the door to his room to the police to conduct a search and seizure while he was still in custody. She claimed she had given Collins a quit notice a few months before the crime was committed and that he had refused to move out. Tina Samuel was accused of hiding her son, Lucky, who was alleged to have been involved in the crime but remained at large. One of the key arrests in the case was Noza Osabuhin, the man who unknowingly bought Vera's phone after the attack. Collins attempted to sell the phone to Noza for 30,000 naira, but after some bargaining, Noza ended up buying it for 17,000 naira, completely unaware that he had just sealed his own fate. Noza was tracked through the phone and subsequently arrested. He then led the police to Collins, who later confessed to participating directly in the attack. Collins recounted that on that fateful day, he and 4 others took a blood oath never to reveal the actions they were about to take that night to anyone else. He claimed 5 of them entered the church and that Nelson, along with 2 others, had first ensured that the church was empty. Once inside, Nelson allegedly attacked Vera with a wooden plank before Collins followed up with a fire extinguisher. However, Collins insisted that they never forced themselves on Vera, contradicting the post-mortem results, which confirmed that she had been sexually assaulted. Tina Samuel, who was accused of hiding her son Lucky, also denied any involvement in the crime. She stated that she had not seen her son for over 5 months as she had been staying in the village where she sold clothes while her son remained in Benin. According to her, she was taken by police officers who claimed that the commissioner of police wanted to see her. She insisted that she had no knowledge of Lucky's whereabouts and was only informed upon her arrest that he was linked to the crime. Nelson also denied his involvement in the crime, claiming that Collins was making up stories just to implicate him. Valentine claimed not to know Collins and also explained that he was in a different area on the day the crime was committed. The police vowed to charge all of them to court and also ensured that justice was served. This event took place on the 27th of May 2020. However, at the time this video was made, it had already been more than 4 years and there hasn't been any updates on the case.